Come on by and have a bite at the CrossRoadDiner, the place your spirit goes when it might be time to change direction. Welcome to Monday Coaching. We're going to help you navigate change. Welcome back to Monday at Crossroad Coaching. I'm your host, Steve McCurdy, and
I am John Burnett, your co-coach.
That's right. One of the things that I want to, John, help me remember at the end that I want to talk about that co-coaching thing. What we're doing is little bullet coachings on an idea, on a mindset idea or a practice that will give you more access to your best self. And what's our topic today, John?
Today our topic is gratitude, and Brother Steve is going to be leading the way. My very grateful friend, Steve.
Wow, I would never have imagined that we're going to do that. Yeah, John and I have made a list of ideas, and they're not in any particular order. They're in the order that we thought of them, and we may rearrange them. Next week, tell them what we're going to be looking at, John.
Next week, we're going to be talking about choosing joy, that through our life, the key element of choosing joy and the difference that it makes.
Perfect. And these two things go really well together. We'll set you up with a little exercise for the next week, and it'll pay off on today, and it'll set up next week very nicely. So we're talking about gratitude. In the notes today, you're going to have a couple of links. One of them is going to be to a TED Talk by Shawn Achor. Shawn is the author of The Happiness Advantage, and his TED Talk is hilarious and wonderful and informative, and has probably made him $64 bazillion, and sold a lot of his books and a lot of corporate coaching, because it gets into the notion of the power of managing your brain chemistry and being a happier person. The brain chemistry thing has become very interesting to me in the last few years, John, because I've had several friends and friends' family move into dementia and move into Alzheimer's. And this is all about brain chemistry change, and we face it day to day in ourselves. There are hormones called endorphins that make us feel better, and they can be generated in the brain in three basic ways. One is drugs, chemicals, antidepressants, that sort of thing. Second way is talk therapy. That if you're in a situation and you're talking that thing out with a professional therapist, you get places. But also if you're talking with friends, just talking with people and having a human interaction can increase the endorphins in your brain. But they found out that the third way is available to us 24 hours a day, and that's the expression of gratitude, specifically expressing to someone your gratitude. Now, I'm gonna thank you right now and give an example of this.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, so excited.
Tell everybody how we met, if you remember.
Oh, I definitely remember. I was just telling a new friend about this the other day, that we both joined a coaching program called the Speakers Lab. And part of that is a weekly coaching session where we go online with 50 to 100 of our closest friends, and we're coached by one of the Speaker Lab's professional coaches. In the middle of that session, they ask us, if we're new, to introduce ourselves. I did so. And all of a sudden, in a direct message in the chat section, Mr. Steve McCurdy reached out and said, "Hey, man, love your energy. We ought to get together offline. What do you think about that? Send me your email. Let's do it." And that's how it happened. We moved from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I decided about.
By the way, very, very grateful for that moment in my life.
I know. And that's what I'm saying. Me too. Because we have some of the same challenges. We've become good accountability partners, creativity partners, and just it's fun too. We have fun together, obviously. And I have, added John to this podcast because we think enough alike and enough differently to offer some perspectives on all these coaching ideas. We both coach people. And so, I'm very grateful for this decision that I made about 8 years ago to say yes. Whatever it is, try to find a way to say yes. Have more experiences, have more good experiences, have more crap experiences that you can learn from, but don't isolate, get out there amongst them and see what can happen. And so many things have been generated. So the expression of the gratitude, when John expressed his to me and I expressed mine to him, created a little bit more of that endorphin in the brain, that brain chemistry. Now, here's why that's a good thing. A brain that's happy and at peace and got that little bit of energy of, feeling good operates 15 to 20% faster and more accurately than a brain that's neutral or depressed. It's probably a lot faster and more accurate than a depressed one. It's actually it's oil that makes the engine run better. So we want those endorphins. I mean, not to the point of, hallucinations and all that sort of stuff necessarily, although not bad deal every once in a while. But when you're at work, you probably need to keep it contained. And this is a guy that, John's a nomad. He lives all over the world. And frequently, if he steps out the back door, he steps into oceans and things. So how does that strike you? Did you know about the mental processing?
Yeah, I love it. In fact, it's funny because you didn't mention exercise, and I've been told and studied that exercise is also a key element of endorphin release. And but yeah, I absolutely love it. In fact, real time example. I have a new friend that is of the female persuasion, and I literally have been.
I think she's convinced. I think she's absolutely convinced of
there's and I am as well, just so you know. But it is like I have been so full of gratitude to have her in my life, and I don't want to sidetrack to that. But the reality is, I literally have been saying I can't explain the creativity that's popping, the things that are coming. I'm writing things differently. I'm having ideas, and I can only blame it on her, but the reality is that, yes, she is bringing this overwhelming feeling of gratitude, and it is doing all the things you talked about. It's making me sharper. Literally, I think, I don't know how funny a guy I am, but I think I'm funnier around her or since her. So there's just so much that's going on. And I lived with a lot of guilt and shame and depression for the majority of the last 10 years. That's for another show maybe. But yeah. So it is absolutely, this resonates so well with me. And
Inside. Go ahead.
Anyway, yeah. So I absolutely love it. I love the idea of gratitude. So right there, tracking with you 100%, Steve.
So what the happiness advantage? It talks about this at length. The TED Talk is only about 15, 20, like TED Talks are, but it's so powerful, and he goes through all the research that they've done all over the world of people of all walks of life, and how this happiness advantage makes your brain function better. And I'd like to say that it makes you luckier, because luck is a process. It's not the magical, mystical thing. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. And when your brain is functioning at top speed, top efficiency, you notice, you focus on something, you need a thing, you start noticing the little tiny things that could be useful to that. And you think them through, or you ask a question, and it looks like things plop in your lap. No, it's you being in tune. You're on the right frequency. You're picking up those resonant vibes. So the exercise is very simple, and it can be a lot of fun. If you want to get your brain kicked off in the morning with John goes for a run, And while he's going for the run, he could be working on this exercise. You take a look at yesterday and you find the 3 best things about yesterday. Now, you may 2 days later go, no, that wasn't the best. It was second best because I forgot about this. Don't get caught up in that competition. 3 great things that happened yesterday. They don't even have to be the best. And why? Who was associated with that? Who pushed that last grain of sand over the edge to make the thing happen, or said the wonderful thing? Write them an email. Expression of gratitude, feeling the gratitude is great and it's very helpful, but expressing it and expressing it specifically is what can really unleash the endorphins in your brain and start your day off in a great way. Now, if you combine them, if you do John's exercise thing and the physical expression of sending a person a note, and with email and text messages and things that we have available today, it's not going to take you 10 minutes. That gets you off on the right foot. It gets things going. Now, I just did one of them with John, our relationship, and John sends, we communicate all day, every day, but we do encouraging things with one another, and we do accountability things with one another, but not in a finger-pointy way. It's all very much encouraging. I really appreciate that about John. He has a way of expressing things in very, very clear and useful ways, and I appreciate that. Second one is one of my other coaches helped me sort through something that I thought I was pretty clear. And when John and I went through the workshop, and I went through his process and discovered that that the articulation of my purpose is authenticity. I want to be authentic, and I want to encourage others to be authentic, or empower others to be authentic. And he said to me, "No, that's not your purpose. That's not your hook. Your hook is that's the thing that you do. That's the thing you're gifted at. But the thing that's driving you is you help people navigate change." And boy, the lights went on all over the place. And I went, that's the key. Now, John, that's the difference between purpose and vision in your language. Am I right about that?
Yeah. No, I think, it's really interesting because really even navigating change is a deeper thing. So I would say you might even be able to reword, as we talked about with your mission statement, you could reword that to be more along the lines of this navigating change. Because that is a deeper purpose. And the way you're doing that is coaching. You're doing a podcast. That's vision. How does it express itself out into the world? So yeah, I love that. Something that's funny, every morning, starting about 2 years ago, the first thing I do is write out my mission statement. And then I write out the vision of what it looks like in very just like succinct words. And then I write 3 gratitudes. I love the fact that this morning you're pushing me further to do something that I've attempted and I've not succeeded at yet, which is to actually write out a note to the people that I'm grateful for. Because it is a very high percentage that it is people. There's God gratitude. That's a bigger piece. But there's always a person involved. There's my relationship with Steve McCurdy. There's the opportunity, the person I met on the plane. There's always, not 100%, but pretty darn close to 100%, somebody else involved. Right. And so instead of me just writing it and keeping it to myself, which is what I've been doing, 3 gratitudes and it always comes to the day before, this idea of an email, a note, a text, whatever it takes. I don't do that. I do it as a course of life, but not intentionally every day. And I love that. I need to take what I've been kind of almost like just keeping to myself, like I'm grateful, and say, hey, Steve, I'm grateful for our meeting yesterday and what took place in the podcast or whatever. That is I love that push. It's like we keep growing, right? We keep, it's not that I don't want to beat myself up for only writing it to myself for the past few years, but I love the idea of growing and pushing and letting the other person know,
Yeah, it's like a supercharger on an engine. It uses stuff that's already there and just gets a little margin more effectiveness out of it.
I love it.
Yeah. So my third one is that after we do our session next week, I am going to Houston, Texas to meet my granddaughter.
Yes, you are.
And my daughter and I have an incredibly powerful, fun, nuts relationship because my daughter is incredibly powerful and nuts. And my grandmother had the nut gene, and it came right through me and to her. And I'm thinking it's going to land in this child. I've got two grandsons that I love and adore, and they are lucky enough to have such talented and gifted parents in my son and his wife, Joe. And now Kelsey is on that track. And they were going to name the child Charlotte and call her Charlie. And all day long, they were going to restaurants and they were going to retail and they were hearing Stevie Wonder, Stevie Nicks, Stevie Ray Vaughan. And her husband said, "Are we supposed to name this child Stevie?" And she said, "Well, it'll really mess up my father, but yeah, let's do that." So I'm going to meet my namesake, Stevie Quinn Brown.
Wow.
And I get to hold her in about a week. So those three things, I wrote my daughter about it. And you and I talked yesterday when we ran into a couple problems and had to do a reschedule. Yeah. So those were my three. Did you think of a couple of others for you?
So good. Oh, man. You put me on the spot. And I literally have not written down my three for the day. I got going a little bit late because I was sick yesterday. But I can tell you that I am very grateful for a doctor who is, able to run some tests on me, make sure everything's good with me. That's kind of a thing that I feel like I take for granted. I've had a generally healthy life, but at this point, I want to make sure I keep things checked up. And I'll tell you, it's a female doctor. She's extremely gracious and kind in the way she communicates, and so that's been a very something that I'm definitely grateful for. This woman in my life is something. Yeah,
breathe, brother. It's okay.
I can't.
When you get that lucky, when you find what you didn't know that you could find again, and weren't even really looking hard.
Not looking at all. Zero.
When the blessing just washes over you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to put this out as an assignment. For the next week until our next coaching session, and a lot of people say the best practice is to think about that the night before, at the end of the day. It also helps you sleep. That you put down just little notes. I think this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Those were good things. That's what I'm going to write in the morning. And then the next day, get up and do it. Now, you talked about email and all. I have a friend who buys note cards. Just they've got their initials on them, and they a box full of what do you call them? Forever stamps. And whenever they think of a thing, they write that note by hand and they put it in the mail. Now, I get emails, and you do too, a zillion of them a day. Half of them are junk or more than that. But when I open the mailbox, I don't get personally handwritten notes from anybody anymore. So it lands. And it doesn't have to be War and Peace. It can be 12 words and you're done. You will get the gratification of feeling better immediately. And you will start 3 other people's day.
Yeah, that's so good.
Anything to add, John?
I think that's the most beautiful part of what you just said is that you're not just lighting up your life by beginning with gratitude. You are lighting up somebody else's life. You are throwing it out into the world, and it is going to make a difference, and it's going to lighten them up. Because when somebody's grateful for you, what do you immediately feel? Gratitude for them. It's like you're like. It's like the synopsis. You're popping it off. You're getting more beauty into the world, and I think that may be the most powerful thing of all. So good, so good. Love it.
So John and I are both coaches. John and I both do initial conversations with folks to kind of help figure out where they are, where they're stuck, and whether or not we might be able to be of use. Or, sometimes I might kick you over to John. He might kick you over to me. And you can start that process and get an appointment to do that by going to CrossRoadDiner at StoryMasterMedia.com. And just send us a note, send us a request, and we will get back to you very, very quickly. If there's one of us in particular you want to talk to, put that in. We're not jealous. If they all come back, John, I'll just try to learn something from that.
Hey, you'll have that email in the notes section, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have to remember it. They can just
right.
click on
We're going to have it.
Perfect.
I'm going to put the email in the notes section. And if you want to just book a 15-minute session, I'm going to put a link there that you can put that in. It goes right into our Calendly, and put in the notes if there's a particular one of us you want to talk to.
Yeah.
So for the Crossroad Diner, I'm Steve McCurdy, and my buddy,
I am John Burnett.
And we will see you next week in the Crossroad Diner, where your spirit goes when you might think it's time to change direction. Check the links in today's show notes for Shawn Achor's TED Talk and a link to his book, and for links to do a free coaching assessment with either John or I. We'll see you next Monday for Crossroad Diner Coaching, and we'll see you on Thursday for a case study in how we help navigate change.